Now, I say it a lot in my videos, but I'm gonna say it again. Your iPhone is a powerful filmmaking tool, but most people just don't know how to use it the right way. Now, if your vlogs look basic, it's not the phone, it's really the knowledge and practice you're missing. So in this video, I'll show you 10 beginner-friendly tips to turn your iPhone vlogs into cinematic movie-style videos. Also, a big thanks to ARTLIST for sponsoring this video. More to them later. So one of the biggest secrets to making your footage look cinematic is motion blur. Without it, your videos can look unnatural, but with it, movements feel smooth, realistic, and much closer to how we actually see the world. And that's why you'll notice motion blur in almost every movie. So how do you get that motion blur on your iPhone? Start by using the Blackmagic camera app. It's free and gives you full control over your camera. And then simply follow the 180-degree shutter rule. And that means just set your shutter speed to double your frame rate. For example, if you're shooting at 25 frames per second, set your shutter speed to 1/50. And an easier way is just by switching to shutter angle inside the Blackmagic camera app and setting it to 180 degree. The correct shutter speed will then be calculated automatically no matter what frame rate you use to achieve that natural motion blur. Now here's the catch. When you do this, your video can get too bright outdoors, and that's where an ND filter comes in. Think of it like sunglasses for your lens. It keeps the exposure balanced while still giving you that cinematic motion blur. And there are actually two types of ND filters. You've got the fixed ND filter, which gives you the best image quality, but you'll need to swap them as the light changes. Then there are variable ND filters that let you adjust quickly without swapping, which is great for run and gun shooting and super handy when the light changes fast. Now the downside is they can be less sharp or cause color shifts and vignetting, especially when using the ultra wide angle lens on your iPhone. Also, from my experience, most variable ND filters made for the iPhone also aren't strong enough to keep the 180-degree shutter rule in bright daylight. So this time I actually opted for the fixed ND filter. There are also some good variable ND filters, but I'm kind of experimenting with the fixed ND filters right now and actually produce great video results without any of these artifacts, especially when using the ultra wide angle lens. Now for my setup, I use MagSafe compatible gear, which makes everything fast and easy. I've got a MagSafe case and a magnetic filter adapter that lets me attach a fixed ND filter. Now, by the way, all products mentioned are in the video description below. Now, like I said, a fixed ND isn't as quick as a variable ND, but I'm actually using a magnetic system from Freewell, which allows me to swap quickly between different strengths, keeping my workflow simple and the image quality clean. Getting the right exposure is key for clean cinematic footage. The best tool for this is false color, which is especially useful for exposing skin tones properly. On the Blackmagic scale, 18% mid-gray shown in green sits in the middle, and mid-gray +1, a light pink tone, is just above it. Skin tones should fall between these two zones for a natural look. A quick trick is to hold your hand in front of the camera where you'll be filming to set exposure before you start. Also check that there's no red area in the highlights like the skies. That means they're blown out. If you're using an iPhone 15 Pro, Pro Max, or newer models, you can shoot in Apple ProRes log, and this gives you more dynamic range and flexibility when color grading. It also reduces over sharpening in your video, making the image look more natural. Now inside the Blackmagic camera app, I usually shoot in Apple ProRes log 422 LT with max bitrate. It keeps the file size manageable while still delivering great quality. So clear sound is just as important as clear video. The first step is to choose a quiet location. Avoid traffic, crowds, or rivers that create unwanted noise. You can see I've picked a quiet area. There are also not many people passing by. Now to take things further, you can use a wireless mic, and this gives me the freedom to move further away from the camera without needing any cables. I can also walk around and turn my back, and it will still capture the audio clearly. Now for my setup, I use the Rode Wireless Micro. I love how small the receiver is, and it's basically plug and play, no audio adjustment needed. Now sometimes you can't avoid these noise, such as airplane passing by or maybe a construction started. So the best way to deal with this is to add noise cancellation. Now this mic right here doesn't have any, but I usually add it in post inside Final Cut Pro, which will then magically remove all of the background noise. So this is super important. Always take a moment to review your footage before leaving a location. And this helps you spot errors, avoid missing important shots, and saves time in editing. It also gives you the chance to reshoot anything right away instead of having to return to the location later. And also make sure you listen to the audio, make sure it sounds clear and that you actually recorded the audio. Sometimes it might run out of battery without you noticing it. And it's really small checks like these that can save you a lot of time, frustration, and you'll be grateful that you did them. For talking head videos or A-rolls, I usually like to film in two ways. The first would be still shot using a tripod. For that, I like to use the travel tripod from Small Rig. It's durable, lightweight, and for the price, actually quite affordable. The second way would be dynamic, so filming handheld while walking around. And for that, I like to use the magnetic mini tripod that's comfortable to hold. Now, I prefer still shots because they feel calmer and also allows me to focus more on the message. But you know, when you're on the go and need to move from place to place, going handheld is often the better choice to capture those moments and yourself. Now, when filming myself on a tripod, I use the 1x lens like you're seeing right now. And when I film handheld, I use often the ultra wide angle lens just to be safe and avoid being cut out of the frame. Now, a great tool to have is a monitor. I recommend the Shimbal CP5, which mirrors your phone and saves you from running back and forth when framing yourself. I love that I can attach it magnetically to my setup or also remove it if I'm filming from a distance. You can see this is what it mirrors. So this is pretty awesome. Regarding B-rolls, these can make your vlog more engaging. It adds variety, hides cuts, and helps tell your story visually without always relying on dialogue. Imagine me talking to the camera for 10 minutes without adding any B-roll. This would get boring pretty fast. For still B-rolls, I usually film at 25 frames per second. And for handheld B-roll, I switch to 50 frames per second so I can slow it down later. And this creates smooth, slow motion and helps reduce camera shakes. Now, the magnetic mini tripod also gives me extra stability when filming handheld. When I capture handheld shots, I like to focus on simple linear moves, pushing forward, pulling back, or moving side to side, or going upward like a crane shot. And these are easy to remember for beginners and really look professional. Now, when it comes to still shots, they are easier than handheld shots. So starting with still shots is a great starting point if you're not ready or feel unsure about filming handheld. Now, when it comes to still shots, I always try to include some action or movement in the frame, and this keeps the shot alive instead of looking static. What's great is that with a tripod, you have more time to set up and focus on your composition. And for that, it's best really to use the rule of thirds and turn on grid lines inside the Blackmagic Camera app. And I like to place the subject at an intersection point for a more visually pleasing look. If you don't like vlogging in public, voiceovers are a great option. You can simply talk over your B-rolls, which is often a more efficient way to create vlogs.
Out here, away from it all, life finally slows down.
A faster and more flexible option, especially if you already have a script, is to use AI voiceovers to clone your own voice. And that's where our today's sponsor, ARTLIST, comes in. ARTLIST offers a wide range of media assets, including music, sound effects, motion graphics, stock footage, and now their new AI voiceover tool. And here's how it works. Record a short voice sample between 10 seconds and 5 minutes in a quiet room. Upload it to ARTLIST, fill in the details, and let the tool clone your voice. Keep in mind that you can always delete your voiceover and redo this part. And once it's ready, you can type any text and generate a realistic voiceover that sounds just like you.
Here's an example of how it sounds when I clone my own voice and use it for voiceovers in my vlog videos.
So it does sound super realistic. You can also adjust the mood, add effects, and even choose from 20 different languages. Now, if you love creating voiceovers and want a faster way to do it, check out ARTLIST AI voiceover tool along with our other great assets to level up your videos. And by using the link in the video description below, you'll get 2 extra months for free. With that said, thank you, ARTLIST, for sponsoring this video. Let's now move on to the next tip. Now, don't just stay behind the camera, include yourself in your vlogs. It builds a stronger connection with your audience, adds authenticity, and shows your personality. Even if you're not talking to the camera, appear in your B-roll, especially if you're sharing your own story. And to make sure I have dynamic B-rolls of myself, I keep the 3-shot rule in mind. And that means capturing a wide shot to show the full scene, a medium shot to focus on the subject, and a close-up to highlight the details. Mixing these shots makes your video look more interesting, and I also like to make use of all three lenses on the back of my iPhone to add more variety to my shots. When filming your B-rolls, don't just shoot randomly. Each shot should serve a purpose in telling your story. And what also helps is doing a bit of editing in your head while filming. Imagine how the shots will fit together in your sequence. And this takes practice, but you can also import the clips into an editing app after filming a sequence to check if they fit together and make sure nothing looks off. So folks, that's it. If you have any questions, drop them in the comments below. I'd love to help. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.